How to look for and find big winning stocks right now. Hi, everybody. My name is Mike. This is the Morning Coffee with Mike show. And this topic came in on the live stream earlier this week. Someone had asked about how can we find the big winning stocks right now, where we've been in this uptrend for a couple of weeks, couple of months now. Well, let me see how long the market has really been running off the lows here. uh, if we take a look at the bottom of when the market bottomed, it actually it's been running since March, since the middle of March here. So, what does that make it? That makes about 2.5 months, right? So great, 2.5, 3 months the market's been running. Most leaders are out, right? Leading stocks break out first. So how do you find big winners now? That was the question. So I want to give you my personal 5-step process for how I go about doing this. And I want to try to keep the process as general as possible, so that way you could implement it with whatever tools you happen to be using. I'll share with you the tools that I'm using, but you could really take the methodology and use it anywhere. If you have questions as we're going along, please type them into the chat and I'll do my best to answer the questions towards the end. And if you're watching over here on Instagram, use that little question bubble so that way we keep track of the questions. Also, if you're new to the show, make sure that you like and subscribe and uh, follow me on the different platforms. Okay, let's get into it. So, how to look for big winners right now. Step one is going to be building your universe. Now, why is building a universe important? Why don't we want to look at all 10,000 or so stocks in the market? The reason why is because that creates a lot of noise. And if we are just trying to find any old stock that's starting to move, it can lead to a lot of confusion. So it's much better to filter our universe down to a handful of stocks. My universe list currently stands at about 300 stocks. And the way that I build my universe is to have a specific set of criteria for that universe. I'm looking for the types of stocks that have historically proven that they can go 100, 200, 500, 1,000% or more in the span of a couple of months, couple of years. So my universe list is already pre-filled with all of those. So I go to that universe list, right? So that's step number one, build your universe list. Step number two is to go to that universe of stocks that you built and find the current top 20 industry groups within that universe. It's going to change week over week over week. The reason why we want to start with the top 20 is because those are the groups that are hot right now. Those are the groups that have shown strength. So there, when we're trading stocks and we're trying to find leaders, we want the wind to be in our sails as much as possible. The major institutions of the world, the major ETFs, so many of them buy stocks in blocks, right? So they're not just buying the leader of the group, they're buying the whole group, they're buying the whole sector. And so when you find a particular industry group that is outperforming and is in that top 20 group rank, then that's extra wind in that group's sales. Hopefully that makes sense. So you find the top 20 industry groups, and then you don't just stop there. You go through the rest of your universe list and you look for the industry group ranks that are rapidly jumping. So, for example, last week there were a few groups that jumped from a rank of 90 to a rank of about 55. That's a significant jump. If I spot things like that, or it doesn't even have to be a 40-point jump, it could be a 20-point jump or a 30-point jump. If I'm seeing something like that, then that's another group that I want to flag because that's a group that is rapidly improving. We want to look for groups that are rapidly improving as well. So we find our top 20 industry groups. That was step two. Then in step three, we're finding groups that are jumping up, making massive progress. Great. So we find those groups, we put that onto a list, all the stocks that fill that criteria onto a special list. You'll probably, if you have 300 stocks or so, like I do, you'll probably end up with a list of maybe about 50 or so stocks on this new list that you just made, top 20 industry groups and groups that are jumping. Next, what are we going to do with this list? What you're going to do with this new list that you made is you want to go and hunt for the leaders within each of those groups. So you go to the top ranked group, you see which stock within that group itself is the leader of that group. So you want to be in stocks that are you want to be in leading groups and you want to be in the leaders of those groups. Great. So you go and you find those. Then, when you find them, what you want to do, and this is the part that's going to lead you to leaders over and over and over again. Some of the leaders that showed up just this week that were pulling back, and we're going to get into tactics and strategies on how to trade these leaders. But some of the leaders that were pulling back this week: Nvidia, Weave, Meta, AMF, AMPH, Immunogen, Shake Shack, just a handful of the ones that were pulling back, offered pullback entries, and could have been bought. Now, were they already leaders, or were they on that sector's leaders list this week? Yes, they were. The reason why they are highlighted is because of what we're doing in step five. What we do in step five, right? Well, we built our list where we've hunted for the leaders of each industry, the leaders within each industry group in that list. We want to flag each one of those leaders, flag it right on the chart. So that way you know that this stock on such and such week was not only in a leading group, but was the leader of that group. That's a very important thing, and I'll tell you why. Because n- no stock runs forever. Stocks pull back. When a stock starts to pull back, wouldn't it be a good thing to know that, hey, this was a leader? This was leading its industry group only 2 weeks ago, only 3 weeks ago, and now it's pulled back to a, say, key moving average, like the 21-day exponential moving average, perhaps the 50-day simple moving average. You see that, and at the time when it's pulling back, oh, this one's done, it's over. It's not the leader of the group right now, but it was a leader 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. That should put on the radar and say, hey, maybe I could get a very low risk entry point on this name. One that did that yesterday. I posted about this one on Twitter. SMCI, go check it out. SMCI. It was an ultra tight entry on this one. It ran about 9% yesterday. Out for a quick gain with that one. By the end of the day, it pulled back. Right now, here, let me show you exactly what SMCI actually did. So let's come over to here, share screen, share the entire window, and we'll come over here and we'll bring Instagram over to this as well. Now, what you're looking at my water bottle over there on Instagram, but now you are looking at the major indexes. This is a trade that I'm in right now, SOVO. Let's bring up SMCI, super micro computer, and let's bring up the daily chart of SMCI, and I'll make this a little bit cleaner for you guys over here on YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn. Great. So this was SMCI yesterday. The entry point was yesterday. The setup was 2 days ago. Right. So here's what SMCI did. It was pulling back, pulling back, pulling back, and it came very close to that purple line right there. That's the 21-day exponential moving average. And you might even be able to read that note that I had there. It says end of day retest of the 21-day exponential moving average, 21 EMA. This gives the following day's open a 1.4% range to play this as a breakout with support at the 21 EMA. Great. Again, here's what it looked like on the daily chart on that day. Looks pretty ugly, but former sector leader, right? That's what when I put SL on my chart, I that it stands for sector leader, and those are the days that it was flagged as the sector leader. And you do that on a weekly chart as well. Great. So yesterday, this thing breaks out. It runs about 8.5% on the day. It eventually hits its head on that blue line. That blue line is the anchored VWAP, anchored volume, uh, volume weighted average price. And that anchored VWAP is from the, the recent high back here. So it hits its head on that and it ultimately closes down here. The other note that I have over here is how it could have been played. So, would I hold on that move, right? So you got in right here, you're up, it pulls back in, you're still up about 2%. Would I hold? My answer was no. And the reason why is because there were 11 danger signals on that day. So, reward to risk, you could have got, if you didn't take anything off and you only sold at the end of the day, you would have made 1.5 times your money. You would have gotten out with about 2% or so gain if you didn't take off anything else into strength, like say up here or even a little bit higher. And I see some questions coming in. So let's go over to the questions. Colin says, which anchored VWAP indicator do you use on TradingView? I will show you the one that I use. So the one that I use is this one right over here. So is it under this? Yeah, so right over here, anchored VWAP is all the way down here at the bottom. And so I just take that and now connect it. Let's say I wanted to connect it over here. I just click the price that I want, and then it automatically fills in. That's the one that I use. What other questions do you guys have? Go ahead, type into the chat. Let me know what questions you have. Today, we are talking all about how to find big winning stocks right now. And by the way, one of the themes that I talk about in my book, because this is the strategy that I follow, right? I tell you exactly what I do, how I do it, why I do it inside the Trading Mind Wheel book. So if you haven't gotten the book yet, go grab a copy of the book. It's available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble and everywhere books are sold. If you have read the book and you got value from the book, please drop a review on the spot where you purchased it, whether it's Amazon or Barnes and Noble or somewhere else. Reviews help the book get into the hands of a lot more people. So I would appreciate it if you would review the book if you've gotten some value from it. Let's see what questions you guys have. Do I do commodity trading? I do not trade commodities. However, inside our program, our elite program, some of the other coaches do trade commodities. And I'll tell you this, The vast majority of the skills that you need in order to trade successfully are the same no matter what the asset class. Everyone needs to learn about mindset. Everybody needs to learn about beliefs and psychology and emotions and all those things. Everyone needs to learn about journaling. Everyone needs to learn about how to do a thorough analysis, whether it's the analysis of the asset itself or the analysis of the marketplace in which you're buying that asset. Everyone needs to learn about post analysis. Everyone needs to learn about position sizing and risk management and trade management and testing and all these things. That's why I made this blueprint for everybody. So again, go get yourself a copy of the Trading Mind Wheel. What other questions do you guys have? Scrolling through here on Instagram, and we're waiting for additional questions to come in from Facebook and YouTube and LinkedIn, Twitter as well. I just see Skinny Panda's questions come in. Mike, big fan from across the river in New Jersey. Awesome. I trade MES for swing trades, holding days to weeks on the 2-hour time frame. Also trade SPY for long-term position trades, daily and weekly chart. How do I keep these two trading strategies separated mentally? How do I keep my analysis for short term trades from impacting my analysis on long term trades and vice versa? Thank you in advance. That's an excellent question. Thank you so much, Skinny Panda, for writing it out so clear and concisely. So you have two different strategies, you're running two different strategies, and how do you prevent them from muddying the waters? Well, the first thing that I would do is if you don't have these strategies and separate accounts for these strategies, that would be the first thing that I would do. I would only trade one strategy per account. That is something that worked very well for me when I uh, started to day trade and when I started to use options and then when I started to do some long-term trading. I initially had it all in one account and it really did muddy the waters and cause a whole lot of confusion. When I set up separate accounts for each strategy, that helped a lot. Second thing, when you're doing the analysis, do the analysis separately if possible. So do the analysis for swing trading, right? So it's almost like wearing separate hats. It would be like if you have separate jobs. You're not doing multiple jobs all at the same time. Try to wear one hat at a time. So it would be like, okay, I'm looking at my uh, this trade that you have in MES for swing trade. Then you're focused in on that. You have your rules, you have everything that you need for that particular trade, sizing, what have you. You take care of all that, and then you move on to all the different rule sets that you have for SPY. I'll admit that it is very challenging to have multiple strategies like that, especially if they're not uh, the same or if they're not similar. I think that about answers it. Let me know if you have follow-up questions there, Skinny Panda. In the meantime, I will continue to scroll through Instagram. Renav asking to join us live. So Renav, if you want to join live, send me a DM, send me an email, and we will coordinate a time, a date and a time to bring you on live, and then we'll be able to go a lot deeper that way. Did that a few weeks ago uh, with someone else, and it was fantastic. Cinder asking me for my top three stocks. I really don't have certain stocks that it's just like, oh, these ones are the best ones where I would hold for long periods of time. But I will tell you what I happen to be holding right now. And I do happen to have three trades that I still have on right now as the market is pulling back. These ones are outperforming. I'm holding Dash, so DoorDash, you know that company. The ticker is DASH. I'm holding Fix. And today I just bought Sovo, ticker SOVO, when it was breaking out. Here, let me show you guys over here on YouTube and everywhere else. And here is Sovo right now. Right, so I saw this pullback, tight consolidation, and bought that breakout this morning. And so far, so good. Volume seems to be picking up on the day as well. What other questions you guys have? Keep them coming. We've got a couple more minutes here. If any of you are in New York, or specifically if you're in or around the Ronkonkoma area, tomorrow I'll be doing a half marathon. I haven't done a half marathon in a few years, and I'll be doing that tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. So if you guys want to come out for that, that's where I'll be. Lake Ronkonkoma. Share market player question. Please tell me any strategy in trading. So the strategy that I follow, we spoke about a bit of it earlier on how I find sector leaders, but all the strategy, all the sizing, all the risk management, and everything that I do, it's all outlined in the trading mind wheel. The trading mind wheel is a lot more than just what my strategy happens to be. So I'm not trying to say that, oh, go follow exactly what I do. Well, it's the book is meant to teach you process, and it's meant to give you the methodology behind my own process. So that way it's not only telling you, what I do, but it's telling you why I do what I do. So that way you could learn that and learn the blueprint as well and learn the different skills that are needed for trading. So if you're interested in a strategy that's worked well, that helped me to leave the day job about 5 years ago and be doing this full time, it's all inside the Trading Mind Wheel book. Go get it now. Am I interested in crypto? Yes, I am, and I actually have a position in Bitcoin. Been building Bitcoin for a little while. The way that I've been trading crypto is to have a buying program for myself. So what does that mean? That means that I am continuously contributing to my crypto account and continuously buying Bitcoin uh, at the end of each month. Long-term thesis on Bitcoin is that I expect it to continue to go up over time. Uh, if you dollar cost average with Bitcoin, and I did a study that where if you bought the absolute top and you bought at the end of each month, um, you would still be ahead. As of right now, you would still be ahead. So if you started Bitcoin, right? Let me pull the chart again. Right? And now Bitcoin is even more ahead. But if you had started Bitcoin right back here, if you started this strategy of buying Bitcoin at the end of each month, right back here, right at the peak, right? Well, where was the peak? The peak was the close of that month was 61,000. So if you bought a bit at the end of each month, you would be up right now, right? But you bought at the peak all the way over here. How could you possibly be up? That last bit is still down 50%. I know. And that is part of the magic of dollar cost averaging. I would not do that strategy with anything. Such a strategy can work with long-term theses, like if you are bullish on crypto. I wouldn't do this with one of the altcoins. I wouldn't do the uh, I might try it with Ethereum. I have not yet. I would do it with the major indices, especially if you're somebody that's new, that's looking for exposure. I would do that well with the Qs. I would do that with SPY. Doing for something that's longer term that you don't really need to touch, and that'll work. Another thing with this strategy, though, I'm not just continuously buying Bitcoin forever and never selling. I like to sell into strength on the way up. Part of the question becomes, well, when? That's where knowledge of some of my swing trading starts to come into play, and I start to look for extensions and tops and those kinds of things. Again, all types of strategies and mindsets that you can get right in the Trading Mind Wheel book. Can't emphasize the book enough. Go grab yourself a copy. Let's see. Questions coming in from YouTube. From Colin, is there a reason why DCA into Bitcoin monthly versus DCA on a weekly basis? All right, so uh, BTC, that's Bitcoin, versus DCA. Tell me what DCA means. Sorry, not quite sure what you mean there. I'll wait for that answer. Yeah, tell me about DCA. In the meantime, take this question here from Ultra Slay on Instagram. How do you manage your portfolio? Having many stocks in a portfolio means having to keep eyes on companies' performance. Well, that's something that I really don't look at. I'm not paying attention to the individual company's performance. What I'm doing with fundamentals is I will screen based off fundamentals in my initial building of that universe that we spoke about at the beginning of this episode. If you missed the beginning, then once we're done, go back and watch the replay of it. It should be posted immediately on every platform. Uh, but first, I'll screen and build a universe. So the stocks that I screen for have extraordinary earnings and sales, accelerating quarter over quarter. High ROE, high EPS growth rate, all those things. So all the fundamental parts, that's all taken care of up front. Then after that, I'm looking at the technicals. I'm looking at the chart and I'm looking for different patterns and the ways that I'm going to manage trades. And I'm allowing that to dictate when I'm going to enter, where I'm going to exit. And then I have a position sizing strategy for how much cash I'm going to allocate to each position, how much of that cash I want to risk on any one position. And that's how I manage that. It's different for each phase of the market cycle. So if let's say I'm on a big winning streak and the market is accelerating and I've got the wind at my back, then that's the time that I would look to continue to step on the gas because the market is proven to be trending and I'm performing well and everything is firing on all cylinders. That's when you want to press. When the market gets tough, let's say it gets choppy, let's say I've got a couple of losers in a row, that's when I'm scaling back and I want to trade small. I want to trade my smallest when I'm trading my worst and my biggest when I'm trading my best. That's the philosophy that's kept me in this game for so many years now. I've been trading for about 25 years now. That's dating myself a bit, but it's been a while. Let's see. Ah, Colin, yeah, that I should have known that acronym, dollar cost averaging. So, is there a reason why you dollar cost average into Bitcoin on the monthly versus dollar cost averaging on a weekly basis? Great question. The reason why is simply because that was easier. It was easier for me to look at, easier for me to test, and to allocate. Uh, if you were to test both, I would be curious to see what the results are. So if you want to go and do that test and come back on the show and let us know how it goes, then by all means do so. It's very simple. Just look at the closing price on the monthly time frame. Look at the closing price on the weekly time frame, and say that okay, I would have bought the same amount, whatever that amount is. Let's say round number. Let's say that you want to put in $100 every single week or every single month, and then find out which one performs better over time. Any final thoughts, comments, or questions here? We are right at the very end, and I want to say thanks everybody for sticking around uh, for this show. And by the way, too, let me know what topics you would like for next week's show. This topic came from you guys on how to look for big winners right now. I'd love to hear more about what you guys would like me to discuss on the show. It's how we make it super duper valuable for everyone. You can feel free to write in, drop comments, send me DMs, all those things. Just get a hold of me. I'm a pretty easy person to get a hold of by social media and by email. And until next week, I hope you guys have an amazing weekend. Remember to go and get yourself a copy of the Trading Mind Wheel and subscribe wherever you happen to be watching the show. Thanks so much, everyone, and I'll see you next week. Take care. Much love. Peace out, everybody.